Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison LaGrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global south. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alison LaGrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. President Donald Trump rules out offering U.S. security guarantees or NATO membership for Ukraine, as his counterpart Volodymyr Zelensky prepares to visit Washington this week to seal a deal on minerals. Israel confirms the identities of 4 dead hostages whose bodies were handed over by Hamas in exchange for the release of over 600 Palestinian prisoners yesterday. The FBI links North Korea to last week's $1.5 billion theft from Dubai-based crypto exchange Bybit, the largest crypto heist in history. India is exploring mining of critical minerals in Zambia, DRC and Australia, says the country's mines secretary. This, as the world's fastest growing major economy aims to reduce its reliance on imports and secure raw materials such as lithium. And Oscar-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife and their dog have been found dead at their home in the U.S. state of New Mexico. Authorities found no signs of foul play as investigation is underway to determine the cause of the deaths. Hello and welcome. We start with updates on the contentious Chagos deal, under which the UK will hand over the strategic Indian Ocean islands to Mauritius. After weeks of back and forth and pressuring Mauritius to agree to the deal, the UK now says the fate of the deal lies with none other than US President Donald Trump. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer is in Washington for talks with the US President Donald Trump, and it is expected that he will try to convince the US President to approve the Chagos deal. However, ahead of it, UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy has admitted that Trump can veto the deal altogether. He said that the UK had a shared military and intelligence interest with the US, and if Donald Trump is not happy with the deal, there will be no deal. Now, last October, after facing huge international pressure, the UK announced it would hand over sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, officially known as the British Indian Ocean Territory, to Mauritius. The Chagos are a group of over 60 small islands in the Indian Ocean. However, as a part of the deal, the UK would maintain a 99-year lease over the largest island, Diego Garcia, which hosts a joint UK-US military airbase. The deal was reached with former Mauritian leader Pravind Jugnauth, who was replaced just days after the agreement was struck. His replacement, Navin Ramgoolam, has been very critical of the deal by his predecessor. He has started renegotiations over the deal. The renewed talks under him have reportedly been on the leasing terms of Diego Garcia, as well as the money involved in the deal. Mauritius then agreed from the UK. The Starmer government proposed to hand sovereignty to Mauritius and paid over $11 billion to lease back Diego Garcia. However, as per reports in British media, after renewed talks, the UK had been prepared to spend as much as $22 billion. Both Mauritius and the UK denied these reports. But the UK Prime Minister Starmer has now declined to confirm if his recent defence budget spending will be used to fund the Chagos deal. He has announced that he would bring forward a rise in Britain's defence spending, 2.5% of GDP, up from the 2.3% by the year 2027. Opposition confronted him on the issue and asked whether the surge will be directed to the Chagos deal, to which Starmer said that the deal is very important for the UK and US security. He has said he will make last-ditch efforts to convince the US president that the deal is good. However, Trump has his own concerns over the Chagos agreement. He is reportedly wary of the Chinese influence over the security of its base in Diego Garcia and wants security guarantees in the deal that the base will be protected. The opposition Conservatives in the UK are also trying to convince Trump against the deal. Some Conservative leaders have called Starmer's attempts to finalise the deal borderline treason. Now, they have also reportedly sent a legal dossier to the Trump team on the legalities of the issue and why there is no need to hand over the islands. So, with opposition at home and from the US, the fate of the Chagos deal remains uncertain. How will it impact Mauritius? To discuss more on this, we have with us Dr. Samuel Olewale, a security expert who is joining us live from Pretoria, South Africa. Thank you for being with us, Doctor.
Thank you for having me.
Now, what are the key strategic interests for the UK and for the US in maintaining control over Diego Garcia? And how might a potential rejection by the Trump administration impact the UK-Mauritius negotiations?
Okay, thank you. There are so many strategic interests that are at play in the context of this deal. US and the UK has a joint military base in Diego Garcia. And then this particular military base is strategic to US interest, to US and UK interest to protect the sea lane and open trade in the region, in the Indo-Pacific. And this is critical to trade between Asia and Europe, as well as some part of Africa and the eastern coast of Africa and Asia, as well as the Pacific. So this is one of the key strategic interests of the US in this on this matter. Another thing is that this military base is very critical to US counterterrorism and counterinsurgency operation in the Middle East and some part of west coast of Africa. It's also important to counter piracy operation.
Unfortunately, we have lost Dr. Samuel Olewale there. We will speak more with him about this. Now, moving on to our next story, let us shift our focus to the civil war in Sudan, where a new report has exposed how advanced drones from foreign countries are fueling the devastating conflict in this northeastern African nation. Recent satellite images have reportedly shown the presence of Chinese drones at an airport in South Darfur, controlled by the paramilitary RSF, which has been engaged in conflict with the Sudanese army since 2023. Nyala, the capital of South Darfur province, is a stronghold and a base for the RSF's offensives to other cities in the region. Satellite images show 2 unmanned aerial vehicles and a newly constructed hangar near the airstrip. Now, reports suggest these drones have been present at Nyala Airport since December, with experts identifying them as Chinese-manufactured CH-95s, capable of long-range surveillance and strikes at distances of up to 200 kilometers. However, China's Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, which produces the CH-95, has yet to comment on whether it is supplying these drones to the RSF. But this report has highlighted the growing involvement of foreign countries in Sudan's civil war. Now, weapons linked to countries including Iran, the UAE, Russia, China, France, Serbia, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, Egypt, and Turkey have been reportedly found in Sudan. Besides, foreign-made drones have been deployed by both the RSF and Sudan's army, as the two factions battle in a nearly 2-year-long conflict that has left thousands dead and displaced millions. Reports suggest that the RSF is already using Chinese-made drones, such as the Wing Loon 2 and the FH-95, possibly supplied by the UAE. Meanwhile, the Sudanese army is allegedly using the Iranian-made Mohajer 6 and the Turkish-made Bayraktar drones. Now, both sides have repeatedly used these drones to strike areas under each other's control, particularly markets, residential areas, and hospitals, leading to widespread destruction and hundreds of casualties. The Sudanese army, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, has accused the RSF of using Nyala airport to receive weapons from foreign backers. Activists and residents in the capital of North Darfur, Al-Fasher, have also accused the RSF of using drones from Nyala to target civilian states. In recent months, RSF drones have also struck power plants in northern Sudan. However, the RSF denies these claims, saying it does not possess any modern drones. So, as the battle continues, the growing role of foreign-made drones in Sudan's civil war has raised serious concerns about the wider international implications of the conflict. With foreign involvement intensifying, the already devastating toll on Sudanese civilians continues to rise, threatening the prospects for peace. And now turning our attention to the Horn of Africa, where rivals Ethiopia and Somalia have been gradually restoring their fragile diplomatic ties after a bitter dispute last year. In the latest, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has arrived in Somalia today to hold talks with President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud. Photographs shared by the Somali presidency showed the two leaders shake hands on the airport tarmac, surrounded by people waving flags of the two neighboring countries. In a joint statement shared after Abiy Ahmed and Mahmoud met, the two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening cooperation for mutual benefit. They also expressed their commitment to implementing strategic infrastructure projects that ensured sustainable development and economic integration. The high-level meeting comes days after top diplomats from the two neighboring countries held the first round of technical talks in Turkey that were aimed at resolving their dispute. Tensions had escalated between the two sides after Ethiopia signed a deal with Somalia's breakaway region of Somaliland, leasing a port to establish a naval base in exchange for recognition of Somaliland's independence. However, this irked Somalia, which claimed that the deal infringed on its sovereignty. Mogadishu severed diplomatic ties with Ethiopia by recalling its envoy to Addis Ababa. Somalia also threatened to exclude Ethiopian troops from the new African Union-led peacekeeping mission, while it strengthened relations with Ethiopia's foes, Egypt and Eritrea. However, in December, both the countries came to the negotiating table in talks mediated by Turkey. Under the Ankara Declaration, both sides agreed to engage in constructive dialogue and cooperation, including Mogadishu granting Ethiopia access to the sea under Somalia's sovereignty. Ever since the signing of the declaration, both countries have taken steps to restore diplomatic ties. In January, the Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud visited Addis Ababa in a sign of thawing relations. During his visit, he discussed ways to deepen trade and security cooperation against extremist militant groups. Then this month, in addition to the first round of technical talks, the two countries signed an agreement allowing the deployment of Ethiopian troops as a part of the African Union peacekeeping mission in Somalia to fight terrorists. In March, both sides are scheduled to meet again for the next round of technical talks. So as Ethiopia and Somalia work to heal their diplomatic rift, the road to lasting peace remains challenging. While the renewed dialogue is promising, the real test will be ensuring these agreements lead to stability and peaceful coexistence in the region. And for our last story, we talk about France and its degrading ties with former African colonies. After military ouster from several African nations, France is now locked in a bitter feud with Algeria. This at a time at the center of tensions is the issue of migration. Now, France has threatened to review a decades-old agreement that makes it easier for Algerian citizens to move to France. This unless Algeria agrees to take back those who are deported by the French authorities. The tensions have been triggered after a knife attack in the French city of Mulhouse on Saturday, in which one person was killed and several others were wounded. The suspect is a 37-year-old Algerian-born man who was on a terror watch list and subject to deportation orders. As per reports in French media, he suffers from psychiatric disorders. Now, France says it had repeatedly attempted to expel him. The exact number is 14 times, but Algeria refused to accept him. French Interior Minister blames the Saturday's knife attack casualties on Algeria. After a cabinet meeting over the attack, the French Prime Minister said that the 1968 pact between France and Algeria is now under review. Under the pact, Algerian citizens enjoy several exceptions to French immigration laws, making it easier to settle in France. However, the French government will take 4 to 6 weeks to review the deal. Algeria has denounced the new measures as provocation. However, French Prime Minister says that he will present to Algeria a list of people that Paris believes should return to their home country. He declined to say how many individuals are on the list, but said it was substantial. As per the UN estimates, over 1.6 million Algerians are living in France, making it the largest group of foreign-born people in the country based on their country of origin. France colonized Algeria for 132 years between 1830 and 1962. At least 5 million people were killed and hundreds of thousands more were injured during the course of struggle for independence. Though France in recent years carried out reconciliation efforts, the ties between the two nations have reached a new low. Tensions between the two were already simmering since France recognized Morocco's sovereignty over the disputed territory of Western Sahara, which Rabat wants the international community to recognize as Moroccan. Now, that decision has angered Algiers, which backs the Polisario Front in Western Sahara that is seeking an independent state. Since then, France has also detained Algerian influencers on terrorism charges, while Paris has slammed Algiers as it has detained a French-Algerian novelist. Algeria also imposed trade curbs on France after the Western Sahara dispute. It is the latest row. Is this the final nail in the coffin? And with that, that's a wrap on the show. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.